Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
CubeMonk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind, with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
This is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California, and today is March 2. This is the continuation of International Women's Month. And with us today is Miriam Caligarin from Milano, and accompanying her is Kenneth. Kenneth, please introduce yourself properly, please.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Beard. I'm based in Germany, in Bremen at the moment. I'm currently working for an organization which is in the e-payments area, the universe of payments, electronic payments. And my role is to lead some strategic projects internally focused in that organization. I actually operate as a freelance consultant. So when that assignment finishes, I'll be moving on to my next.
All right, great. All right, so today we have the world spinning, as you can see right here, our logo. But it seems like, doesn't it seem like the world is spinning a little out of control and things are topsy-turvy, what with COVID and governments not knowing what to do or how to lead. It seems like Miriam is needed more than ever today with her approach to executive leadership, collaboration, and consulting. Let's welcome Miriam Caligarin. Hello. Ciao.
Hi, Ed, and hi, everyone. Hi, Kenneth. It's great to be here.
Great. Well, thank you for doing this again on Global TV. So I have all these notes, but I can't see them because of my own ineptitude here. So I'm going to need your coaching help someday for sure. But your role as an executive leadership advisor and coach about taking bold actions and uncovering the leader's true self, true power, and influence over process and, I guess, people, to take control of a situation that needs vitality and leadership and a clear enunciation of step 1 through step 10. So, Miriam, is that possible today?
Great question. Well, it is definitely possible today. And I would say that this is actually the best moment to really bring out the true leader that is within us. And we need that more than ever. Especially you were talking about the world spinning around like crazy somehow, you know. There is so much uncertainty, there is so much confusion, there is this sense of disconnection, from the organization somehow. And I think that exactly in this moment, it is really important to understand who are we? Who do we want to be? It's about really reconnecting with that true inner wisdom that we have. It's a moment to even stop and reflect, to really create an inner stability in order to be able to make the decisions that we need to move forward in a more, positive and constructive way.
But it seems like it's easier said than done with all the political divisions and social economic levels. So companies are on the verge of going out of business while other companies are seemingly blossoming. So it's not necessarily being with the, say, in the healthcare business and everything's booming around you, but in other services, especially customer service, the needs of the best customers have changed as a result of COVID, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how come big companies fail? Because they think they don't need to change?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'm seeing very different approaches. There are some organizations that are really recognizing the changing needs. They are recognizing that the world is changing, that the customers are changing, their needs are changing, and they are somehow going with the flow. They have this certain kind of agility, and also I would say humility on one side, of really understanding that what they have done until now might not work anymore. So they might need to change something. And I find that those are the companies, the kind of organizations that get a better results, and that do find opportunities, and it's a bit like they're partnering with their customers, with their employees they're partnering with, and also with their customers. On the other side, I'm finding that there are many organizations that are somehow so stubborn somehow, maybe even arrogant somehow, and they think, it's like the world needs to spin around them, it's like they have always been successful, and they're going to be successful again on their own terms, and everyone else has to adapt to them, so to speak, and that is causing some attritions or conflicts, I would say, because in the end, it's like customers, the new customers' needs or evolving customer needs are not really taken into consideration. And and you see that there is a sort of disconnection between the organization, the purpose, the true purpose of a business organization, and the needs of the customers.
Yeah, so
And I was,
understanding that, especially the customers who are remote are trapped, and the interpersonal relations between the C-suite, direct reports, and then everyone else. So that's really being impacted the past year.
yes, absolutely. There is a really big disconnection because because of the fact that the proximity is missing. It's not possible to have to meet people as before, and there is also, due to the remote working, there is really this sense of disconnection from the air that is that one can breathe within the organization. People are disconnected from the organization, from other people, from the purpose sometimes even of the organization. And even this time working remotely is also a time in which people have started reflecting a lot, about what they really want, about what they need. And so I find, for example, that many people are realizing that working for their organization is not really what they want anymore, or at least not on the terms that they have right now, And so there is this shift that needs to be taken into consideration. So I find it's when you have, in top management, for example, when you have this kind of disconnection, when you're seeing that your employees are getting disconnected, what do? You can force them to connect. You can make a lot of top-down decisions and force them to behave in a certain way, or you can do something else. You can connect with your employees, even with your customers, at a different level. You can try and look, what is it that people need from us now in order to feel a connection with our organization, with our purpose again.
So Kenneth, would you agree that not all the C-suite leaders know what to do?
I think that's almost a statement of the obvious. We were all caught by surprise, and I don't even restrict it to organizational context, because that's usually what you refer to when you talk about the C-suite. There's organizations which are called governments and other bodies which have suffered, the effects of the same changes. And what you said and Miriam mentioned earlier, it's at exactly a point in time like this where true leaders are born. It's now that the leaders stand up and take charge when others are losing their heads. So it's a very important time for us to in a sense, take our time to think logically and use the science, whether it's around medical science being COVID, or how to address our own customers' needs, and to make decisions in the correct context, in the correct framework, so that we can be objective. But it does require an understanding of the emotional needs of all stakeholders, being customers and suppliers and employees. So it's not all just pure by the numbers. We need to understand the emotions that people are experiencing in order to deal with those needs properly.
So now's the time for somebody like Miriam to come in from the outside and sort of as an outsourced leader because the internal politics, because of the internal structure in especially large organizations being so severely impacted by work from home and separation and disconnect. I'm sick of disruption, aren't you? So I've had enough. So, but it's not going to end, okay? The world is upside down. So we're going to show a graphic in just a couple of minutes that will help us zero in on this whole thing. But Miriam, this is where you get hired, right? Because the boss says, we need somebody else to advise us and advise the team, the executive team, how to do things a little differently today. Is that correct?
Yes and no, because some leaders find it hard, to say, okay, let's get somebody to help us. It's a bit like saying, okay, I don't know what to do now, help us. You come from the outside and you help us. And so this is already something that is, for many leaders, is not really very easy to do, to admit that they might need help. They might need to look at things from a different perspective. So what happens sometimes is that they hire me to help somebody around them. So it's like, okay, Miriam, please help, our leadership team, or Miriam, help, the board, or some head of sales, But then, of course, there are also CEOs who are, who know that they could need or could use a different perspective on how to do things, and I find that's a kind of more evolved CEO, somebody who is mature enough to admit that they do not have all the answers, and I do not have all the answers either, But it's like, coaching is not really about, as an executive coach, I'm not here to give the answers, but I'm here to help leaders to look at things from a different perspective, to shift their focus so that they can find the answers that are right, that are best for them and for their organization.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
So you had sent me some notes about a book that you refer to a lot, somebody else's book, about Too Big to Fail or How the Mighty Fall or something like that. Again, I'm not looking at notes right now. It's all from, So, and it's early morning, so I still have my capability here. But when you mention that it's hard for CEOs to not so hard for people like Berlusconi or Trump. They can say and do anything, right? But but most of the other people in the world are very conscious about how they're coming across or not coming across, and so they find the answer is to bring in a coach and sort of like an inoculation, a vaccine, insert it somewhere in the organization, and then we'll have its further down the line effects on organization change. Is that right?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to see it. So I see my job actually as I call my program a leadership activation journey. So it's really about activating the true leader within the leader. So I see my job as going into an organization and helping a leader or more leaders to activate the true leader within them so that they can bring out their best and activate the people around them, around a powerful and meaningful new common purpose, because now the world has been changing, we need a new sense of purpose. It's like really igniting a new mission within yourself. It's about finding a new meaning in what you do. And as a leader, when you find that, and you get really inspired by your own vision, by your own mission and purpose, then you can also inspire others to follow you, to work with you towards something that is meaningful. So I sometimes say something that some coaches do not really like to hear, but ideally, I want to work with organizations in such a way that by the end of the time we have stopped working together, they do not need to hire any coach anymore because of the fact that they will be conscious enough to understand, how to act, how to behave, how to engage people, how to understand people, how to activate their potential, how to also tap into their collective intelligence to find the solutions that are right for them.
So the world is changing, people are changing, they're impacted by COVID and by organizational upside downness or diversions everywhere. A year or two ago, the thing called disruption was taken off, right? I think you and I even had a talk show about that. And 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 now I think we've had enough already. Let's just find a new way. So Paul, if you could show the world upside down and let's have a conversation about that and make it as large as you can, please, if possible. Yeah, there we go. So Miriam, I saw this on your LinkedIn page, and you and Kenneth had a dialogue about the world and disruption, and so Kenneth, what do you see there?
I see a picture of planet Earth, our home. It's not in its usual orientation, but up and down or left and right are just conventions. They're just man-made paradigms of how we expect things to be presented. But whether you're at the North Pole or the South Pole, the experience that you have is hardly any different. You don't feel that you're on the top of the world or on the bottom. You're in fact indifferent. You don't understand exactly where you are on this globe. And that's true irrespective of where you are, not only at the extremes. So the Earth is rotating, but not in a stable way. It's also quite unstable and its tilt is shifting. And it also rotates around the sun, but not in a circle, in an ellipse and a changing ellipse. So these are things that we're completely unaware of, that are happening every second of the day throughout time. Yet we perceive the world as a stable, static environment in which we live, when it's truly not. So if we can filter out the things that are not impacting our performance, it allows our mind to be freed up to focus on the things that are truly are going to make a difference and those that we can actually influence to change the outcome of.
So yeah, looking at this image, Miriam, it looks like Antarctica on the top is blue instead of white. So maybe it's because of the new angle of the sun hitting it. But and then Cape Town is on the top, so it's tipsy turvy. But so what do you think? Do you think the Earth is speeding up a little bit, and it's causing viruses to erupt and earthquakes and jet stream changes, and what used to be wet is now dry, and this craziness?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if we look at this picture of the Earth, I mean, I can speak only for myself, but if I look at it, I have this, I feel this desire, this urge to put the Earth right, to put it up right again, because it feels awkward like that. It's like I'm missing my points of references. So I think there's something wrong here, But in the end, like Kenneth also was saying, we are just we are feeling uncomfortable, or I am feeling uncomfortable because I'm not used to seeing the Earth like this. But the fact that the Earth is like this doesn't mean it's wrong. So, it just depends on how we look at things. So even in all of this situation, you know, in with COVID, with all the climatic changes, you know, there's things that are happening, okay, but it always depends on how we look at things, you know, how, you know, it needs, we need a time, a certain time, in order to adapt to change, you know, in order to find a new stability in the change. And on the other side, I mean, we must also add that everything is constantly changing. We would like it not to be like that. Although, I mean, there are some things that we're very happy about them when they change. We would be very happy that, you know, all of these things with COVID goes away. That would be a change as well.
And welcome, yes.
Yes, yes, exactly. But I think it's just about the fact of becoming aware of the discomfort. We feel the sense of discomfort and of uncertainty and of fear, even whenever something is different than what we are used to. But that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with it. You know, it's just that we need to be agile enough, flexible enough. You know, we need we need our minds to become much more flexible, much more agile, much more like nature really is, actually, you know, always constantly changing. And so when we are capable of doing that, then we find that whatever happens, there are new opportunities, you know, and there's something new that we can create out of any situation.
So Miriam, when we look at this, it's really interesting in trying to figure out what's going on here. But of course, we could see Saudi Arabia and the Red Sea, and that's South Africa there. And so, but we never, it's always the other way. So it's like, whoa. So relating that to corporate policy, corporate culture, whatever that means. Let's talk about corporate culture impacted by COVID and work from home. So in Northern Italy, in your customer base, not just in Italy, but elsewhere, but let's just focus on Milano area. Are people back to work on a limited basis or on no basis at all?
Well, they're partially back to work. I mean, there are many organizations that have decided to, you know, to work from home 2 or 3 days a week. So there is a possibility to go to work every day, but many organizations have decided to you know, to still allow people to work from home. And there are so many other aspects that are, you know, you're playing a role in all of this, because of the fact that, for example, even office space, you know, this is an opportunity also to reduce costs in terms of office space. And so, you know, if there is a possibility for organizations to save some costs in that way, you know, having people working from home, that is welcome. But it is, of course, very much affecting the organizational culture, as you're mentioning, you know.
Yeah. So how does a leader do work from anywhere, work from home, team building in this environment?
Yeah, great question. You know, when leading a team, managing a team or leading a team is always about building a connection with the individuals within the team. You know, I think that one of the biggest you know, mistakes that we make very often is to look at the team like a team, one big thing, you know. But you can't really influence one team or the whole team if you don't influence each person within the team. And even if you can't really meet people in person, you can still build a connection with the people individually, you know. if a leader really cares about understanding their team members, if understanding their needs, communicating with them on a regular basis, you know, if they did that in the past, they're still going to do that. They're still going to find a way to do that now, and now maybe more than even before, you know. You can really build a sense of connection and of closeness, even at a distance. And I mean, there are many organizations that work, you know, many international organizations, you know, that they have been used to working with remote teams for years, you know.
Right.
And now it's just that more people need to become aware of this, and leaders need to adapt. You know, they need to be, you know, going back to what I was mentioning before about being more flexible and agile. You know, they just need to adapt to a different way of working. You know, the situation is like it is. We can't change it, but we can change how we deal with it.
Yeah. So, do you think, Miriam, and this is of course unrehearsed, uh, is this new work situation that we're all in these days, is this impacting women from your view more difficultly, you know, with more challenge than it is for men?
That's an interesting question. I wonder, you know, because I think it could be an interesting survey, you know. I think that working from home is really it's disrupting even the roles, you know, within families. Like, for example, you know, when it comes to families now, men are called to also take care of the kids more, you know, when they're working from home.
Yep.
Now, it depends on whether you are referring to, you know, single women or women who have a family.
Good
You
point.
know.
Yeah, and if there's more than one computer or not, and if
Exactly.
if the bandwidth is sufficient.
Exactly. Yeah. So one thing that I have seen, which is quite interesting, is the fact that when they are, you know, both in a couple, you know, both working from home, it's a bit like, okay, if both have an important meeting, but somebody needs to take care of the kids, who, you know, says no to work in order to take care of the kids. And very often it is still the woman, you know, the mother. Even though I'm seeing that that this is, you know, in some cases this is changing as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also about redefining the roles, you know.
Yeah. So, Kenneth, what's your take on all this?
I think it depends on every situation. Like Miriam says, I have colleagues who are married, both partners work, and they've maybe got 2 children who are also at school virtually. And they've got limited space. They don't have a bandwidth problem, but there's definitely a scheduling problem, because you see one of the little children walking to the picture, Dad, I need some help. Okay, just hold on. I'll come to see you in a moment. Or the cat is walking across the keyboard, or, you know, you've got to adapt to all of these variations. I do think that people can work very productively from a home office, but not all of us. Some prefer to go in, some escape into the office, and it's the only place that they can work. But I do think organizations have to segment their working population into groups where it is a natural means of working, and also within that segment, those who have a different requirement. They need a desk, they need a location, they need equipment in that location in order to function properly. But we've been rushed into a scenario where so many variations need to work simultaneously as members of an orchestra. And the timing that we need to make this successful has been very compressed. So it's a big challenge, but one that I think most of us are dealing with relatively well. And I'm talking us as corporates. There's other completely different segments like small businesses, restaurant owners, and hairdressers. They're cut off at the head. Their business is unable to function at all. They can't do this remotely. They're finding it much, much tougher. Their reality is completely different to ours. So when we talk, it's about a subset of the corporate environment. It's not a generalization. There's all colors of a rainbow.
So is it the same situation in Bremen area as it is in Milan?
I would think it's similar across the world because I work virtually with colleagues in other locations in Germany, in other European countries, in the Middle East, into the Americas on a daily basis. And it's no different across our team. It's irrelevant where they're working. They're experiencing some similar conditions and challenges.
Great. I want to say hi to Dino, Isernia. Welcome, Dino.
I am terribly sorry. Like any good Italian, I'm always late.
Well, it's quite all right. So meet Kenneth Beard. Kenneth Beard.
Hello.
And
Hi there.
this is Dino, Isernia from Napoli. And Miriam, I believe you've met before.
Hi, Dino.
Hi, Miriam. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
Again, thank you very much. Sorry for being late. I was
It's okay.
Caught up in all sorts of mess today.
Yeah, so we're talking about, as you can see, the world is upside down. And
Yeah.
and so as you could see, Antarctica is on the top and it's blue. It's no longer white. But
Good.
but Mount Etna hasn't blown up yet, so we'll see what happens.
Well, if you put it upside down, something's going to fall out of it for sure.
Yeah, right. Well, it won't be pasta. Right.
That's true.
So, Paul, producer Paul, if you could go to this next picture. It's a little hard to see, but so we need a magnifying glass. But what we're looking at, if I can just introduce it, this is not by me, it's by McKinsey, and it was just published today, as a matter of fact. And I said, "Wow, this is great! I got to bring this into the program." So, Paul, as you could see, at the top, future of work after COVID. If we could zero in on that top section only. And enlarge it just as much as possible. On the left, my left, you see 3 categories: remote work, digitalization, automation. In other words, how company organizations are going to be changed, according to McKinsey. So they're looking at, I don't know how far out, the next 10, 20 years, I guess, which is kind of crazy making considering the changes we've gone through in the last year. How can they know what's going to happen 20 years from now? But so they're talking on the left. There you can see remote work, the top category, 20-25% of workers in advanced economies could work remotely 3 or more days a week on a long-term basis. We were just talking about that. And then in the middle, digital, 2 to 5 times growth coming in e-commerce, doesn't matter what business. And then the bottom one, automation, which means robotics, I guess, artificial intelligence. So we're already impacted by some of this stuff. And this circular thing, Paul, if you could zero in on just the middle there, high physical proximity. Yeah, there we go. So you could see this is the flow, according to McKinsey, of how the work will be changing. It's already in motion now, but they picture it this way. So I welcome any comments anytime. So I will stop talking. Miriam, what do you think about this at first glance?
Yeah, I'm actually wondering. I didn't really know this graphic before,
No, it's
so
brand
I'm
new.
wondering about whether this is an evolution in the sense that, or it's just that the high physical proximity work is going to be less than the low physical proximity work.
Yeah, so it's an unusual chart. We're going to go down the page now, and it might make more sense. Again, this is just published today. Talk about the countries relative to everybody else, increase in occupation transitions. So in other words, people's work life, they say, is going to change because of emphasis on other things than what we're used to. And so they say just percentages, 28% in the US, Germany 21%, Spain 0. Just give approximations of how much change there's going to be across people's lives, across companies. And then this little thing here, total workers needing to make an occupational change because the company going out of business or merging or whatever. So it looks here in China is the biggest. And then if we scroll down the page, there's type of work. Labor demand will shift across occupations. So this is STEM, which means science, technology, engineering, math, and then health. And health, huge growth. So I don't know about all this over here. In my role as an advertising salesman and conference producer, what about me? I don't know. I would think that if I'm smart enough and I live long enough, I'm going to have a nice living earned from putting meetings together so that people can communicate better. So I'm going to stop talking. Miriam, what do you think of all this? Or should we take it off the screen and talk about something else?
No, that's fine. No, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to say about this. I mean, depending on what angle we want to tackle. So I will start, and I will be curious also to hear from Kenneth and from Dino what you think about this. I'm thinking about the Industrial Revolution. That was something that was extremely disruptive. And it required a lot of it required so many people and businesses to completely rethink their work and to completely rethink their lifestyle even, because even the setup changed, so many people, the cities became much larger. And so also the living situations became different. So even if, I mean, of course, this is a really challenging time for all of us. But on the other side, it's a bit like like the Industrial Revolution at the time. It really requires us to rethink our work and our lives, and to look at opportunities, because I mean, even during the Industrial Revolution, there were many businesses that went out of business because they were not capable of adapting, while other ones really thrived because of the fact that they were looking at the opportunities, they were looking at the new needs and at the new opportunities. So even nowadays, we've got to look at what is really needed by people. I think this is a good moment also to think about a purpose of a business organization, because I think we have come to believe that business organizations are just here for profit. And we're forgetting about the true reason or the true purpose of a business organization. And the true purpose of a business organization is to meet the needs of people who are ready to pay to get what they need from the organization. So in this sense, you can't really separate people from a business, and you can't separate profit from the people.
Yeah, thank you. Kenneth?
Yes, I think we're going to see an acceleration of what would have evolved naturally. The spiral that we saw. Some occupations you can't do remotely. You need to have physical contact, with the surgeon needs the patient there to do the surgery, just as an obvious example. But in my case, I stopped going to the office almost a year ago, and it wasn't a planned event. I went home one weekend and I've never gone back, but I've managed to do my job remotely without skipping a beat. I am aware that others are positively impacted, like e-commerce business, people that are marketplaces for online. They have boomed in these times. And then the smaller businesses, often referred to as the moms and the pops, the individually owned businesses have suffered dramatically. So there's a complete disruption across the spectrum, and it's happened at a relatively quick pace, which makes it harder for us to deal with. Change is always about dealing with the unexpected, and it produces dysfunctional behavior. And the behavior can be very mild, from a bit of irritation to breaking down in tears, all the way up to suicide. It depends on the person's capacity to handle that change and where their threshold is. And we can help people to become resilient and to increase their threshold, but it takes time. It's an intervention. It's not a light switch. You need to understand their situation and create a tailored intervention to help them. So if we're talking about a corporate and the leadership team, the C-suite of a corporate, they must recognize a need, and we can design a program to help them to cope better with the reality that they are being faced with.
Yeah, Dino, you and I are connected with a very hands-on personal service business. I don't think that will ever change, but I think we'll be using these tools to implement on a regular basis. So acceleration of use of apps and artificial intelligence for customer service and customer communication. That's what comes to top of mind for me. What do you think, Dino?
I think absolutely. I think in the service criteria that we are in, providing services, or either to private or corporate level, obviously technology is going to be implemented as much as you can, but I'm more in the direction of I think as human beings, as greedy as we are, I still think that we want to physically. We are, for example, in my business, we're doing the housing reviews online and virtual housing, and yeah, it's working, but it doesn't get to the final decision. I'll take that house, or I'll send my kids to that school. So, in our world, I think there is going to be technology, but people still want a little bit of a hands-on in some services, and they're not going to make a decision until they see and touch and feel something. So that's how it is. Also, the trust level. It's easy for us to pick something online, as in clothing, or now you can see you can buy a car online, but how many people really buy a car online in some certain parts of the world, especially in the south of Italy, that there's always a scam here and there, so a lot of my corporate clients are in the aerospace. So yes, their engineers can do their engineering online, or they can perk up some engineering techniques, but for the quality assurance, they still have to come out physically, speak with the contractors, show how things are done, and it might be different in numbers, but I think, eventually there's going to be another year of transition. Then I think everyone's going to, oh, sorry, I got to go in the office. I can't get Maria to respond. So my hope is all this is going to go away and people are going to get back on track to what they're used to for the past, half a century. That's my hope, and really that's my feeling. I think people are going to be so frustrated and say, okay, yes, technology is great, but let's go back to where we were before.
So Miriam, at your level, the C-suite level that you effectuate change, one-on-one, getting the trust of that client, and so how do you see that changing, working from home as opposed to going on a business trip to get into that suite and sit across that table?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's because there are certain elements of trust that are really built through physical proximity. So that is certainly something. On the other side, I must say, I mean, I have been working. I've been working with clients remotely for, I think, over 12 years now. And I've been working with many clients that I have never met in person, coaching clients in China, in Thailand, in the US that I never met. And so I think that in that sense, it's also possible, to build a relationship, to build trust. Even when you don't meet, in person. Of course, it is something that needs to be, you need to be conscious about the impact that you're making on people, from far, at a distance. It does require a different, a different way of approaching things, and also of building that trust. Of course, I would love to be able to meet my clients, and with certain organizations, it is definitely, it's totally different, especially if you got to meet many different stakeholders. And, when you meet them in face to face, you really you feel the chemistry, you see with whom you're able to develop a better relationship, with whom it is more difficult to work with, So that is a challenge, but it's not something that cannot be overcome, I would say.
So your role, as I understand it from reading your stuff, that your job is to deal with an organization's development, people development, which leads to productivity development. But how are you able to do that remotely?
Well, actually, many ways.
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, I've been working hard for this. I mean, I need to walk the talk if I say that we need agility, and all that stuff. So I have, programs that are online, digital programs that are, that are both for individual managers and leaders, and for leadership teams, or all the middle managers in an organization. And so it's possible, to work with them, to take them on a program, to work 6 months or even a year with them without meeting them in person, which is challenging. Not everyone likes it. I would love to be able to meet the people in person, because the energy is totally different, of course, when you meet in person. But it is possible. So basically, I do one-on-one coaching virtually, in video conference. As I said, I've been doing that actually for many years, over 12 years now. And now even, with groups. So all of the workshops, the face-to-face workshops, we have taken to virtual workshops, and it's working. we're making it work. We are co-creating this with our clients. You know, so it's really a partnership that we create with our clients. So
well, so many times, let's say you and I were in a client consultant relationship. Just imagine we'd go for a glass of wine and a slice of pizza, and just sit across the table and chat. And it's hard to do that like this.
Yes, it's true. It's true. There is certainly a lot that's missing. But on the other side, because I want to always look at, you know, at the positive aspect of things, because we can't do otherwise, you know. I find that even when I never met a client, even if we never met, you know, in person, it is possible to really get into deep conversation. And also very often the fact that we are not in a, you know, in a restaurant, in a bar, or in an office, it actually gives us the opportunity to be much more focused, because otherwise there are a lot of distractions. And that is something that is really valuable as well, you know. With many CEOs who have no time, you know, they have no time. They are under so much pressure. But then we schedule a session for 1 hour, and they would like to keep talking, you know. Sometimes when it is possible, we extend to 1.5 hours, sometimes even 2 hours, you know, because it's really important for them to be able to, you know, to share what is going on with them, to look at things from a different perspective.
Well, and the more time they spend with you, they begin to peel away their mask.
Yes.
And they get down to, this is where I'm having trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly. And that's what you're saying is really important, because when they are in a video conference coaching in a video conference setting with me, you know, they are alone in their office or at home. And as I was saying before, they do not have anyone else coming in usually, you know. It's like they can really be themselves. It's not like they're in the office and they've got to put on their CEO mask, you know, and have it on all the time. It's like it's a moment in which they can relax, you know, they can just connect with with their true leader, with the true leader within themselves. And yeah, so you know, that is, I would say, really the big benefit, if you want to look at something positive about this, you know. But it's the big benefit of being able to work even at a distance.
Miriam, thanks for coming on Global TV again. And Dino, you're always welcome. Kenneth, nice to meet you. Please come on back. So, Miriam, would you like to announce what your website is so people can go and find you?
Yes, sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Ed, for inviting me again. It's been a pleasure as always. My website is www.lajglobal.com. And yes, and then, I mean, people can contact me on LinkedIn as well. I'm very happy to get in touch and maybe to continue, you know, the conversations.
What does LAJ mean?
LAJ, that's the acronym of Leadership Activation Journey. You know, that's the program that I have created, and that you know, we are utilizing globally.
So what comes to my mind is a jet ride or a balloon ride, and there's turbulence all around. And so you're going to make it smooth.
Yes, together, not only smooth, but making it fun also.
That's cool. So Kenneth, what's your next journey?
My next journey, I'm still making up my mind, because this one is going to end at the end of March. I might take a sabbatical, travel a while. It depends on the next opportunity that comes up. I'm quite selective about the work that I undertake.
Oh, well, good for you and good luck. And again, I welcome you back.
Thank you.
So Dino, what's happening? Is business picking up a little?
Oh yeah, business is starting to pick up. We're starting to see the light after the tunnel. So yeah, I think it's going to come out hopefully with the vaccines as well. So that's
Yeah.
it's starting to come together. So
So here in the U.S., there's about to be an explosion, economic explosion. And I don't know if companies are ready for it. So, because there's so much pent-up demand, it's really self-evident these days. 2 months ago, the freeways, Southern California, it's always busy on freeways, but really there was a marked, visible decline in vehicle traffic and people doing anything. And just yesterday and the day before, man, it was like it was 1999. I'll tell you, it was busy, busy, busy everywhere. And so we see that in the Dow Jones, which had a big jump yesterday. Um, the stimulus package is coming, huge. And then there's going to be in the US an infrastructure bill, which is 20 years in the making. So, if
so there are opportunities now. See?
there's just it's all gonna. I think it's going to be a very busy May, June, and beyond. But nothing right now, though. It's pretty stable, but you can see it all beginning to boil up.
Well, we always look forward to you when you come to Italy. So because
I will be there.
Got your Amalfi shirt on, so we need to add
Yes,
something.
I know. It still fits too. So I need to come back and gain more pasta weight.
We'll turn that inside out. Obviously, when you won't be able to wear that, you'll need a bigger size when you come here and go.
Yeah. Actually, I'm looking forward. I know Joanne is too. We'll come over to Amalfi and get some.
We'll have that glass of wine and
Yeah, a
pizza.
glass of wine and limoncello. I couldn't think of it. Right. Okay. Well, thank you and have a good one. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.